So I'm gonna be real quick with y'all, man. If you hear my kids in the background, they just came home from school. But I got a quick story I want to tell y'all real quick. So a um, few years ago, I was sitting at a kitchen table with a young couple. You know, they had they had just purchased their first home, and this was when we used to meet people. We used to meet people at their homes, and their closing paper was still stacked on the corner of the table. All right, I could still see it to this day. It was stacked on the corner of the table, and they were excited. They were excited about the next stage of life. They had big goals like retiring someday. Helping their kids with college, and building a stable future. But as the conversation went on, something interesting happened. You know, they started they started asking uh, they started asking complicated questions about investing. You know, they were they were talking about market timing. They were talking about different strategies that they had seen online, and trying to figure out which investments might perform the best. And the more they talked, the clearer something became to me. They were focused on complicated strategies, but they hadn't built the simple financial habits yet. And that's when I realized something important. Most people believe financial success comes from complex strategies. But when you look closely at how financial stability is actually built, the pattern is usually much simpler. It's usually built on consistent habits. You know, things like saving consistently, right? Managing debt carefully, or protecting your income, and investing consistently over time. Wait for my son bust again, right? But these habits, these habits aren't flashy. They don't sound exciting, but over time, they tend to matter much more than trying to find the perfect strategy. And that's why I often remind people of something simple. Financial success rarely comes from doing something complicated one time. It usually comes from doing simple things consistently for a long time. So that's just a quick story I want to tell y'all, and enjoy the rest of y'all Friday, and sign off.